Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 6th live discussion on Pact for Skills, mobilising all partners to invest in skills. My name is Andrea Broughton. I'm a director at Ecoris, and I've got the pleasure of moderating the discussion today. Before we get into the discussion, I'm just going to hand over to my colleague Leila, who's going to give you some technical advice. Thank you.
Welcome to all the participants. You should see on your screen to the left the video and to your right the GoToWebinar control panel where you can use the raise your hand button to engage with us, ask questions using the questions box and select your audio mode. Just for your information, all attendees are muted automatically on arrival to the session. You can listen to this webinar using your computer's audio or on your mobile phone. So please select your preferred option in the audio menu. If you select telephone, please follow the instructions provided in the registration confirmation email. If you are experiencing audio or any other technical issues now or anytime during the webinar, please click on the raise your hand button or send us a message in the questions box and we will contact you separately to solve your problem. As I have mentioned, we will be using the questions box to collect your questions during the webinar today. If you have any questions, please type them in the questions box at the bottom of the control panel to the right of your screen, and Luca and I will do our best to respond to you individually, or if the topic of your question may be of interest to all attendees, we will forward your question and our answer to everyone. We will also invite you for a Q&A session and a short feedback survey in the end of the webinar. This webinar session will be recorded, and the recording and report will be uploaded on the EAfA website and will be shared with you by email in the upcoming days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leila. Okay, so we've come together today to discuss the European Commission's exciting new initiative, Pact for Skills. And ahead of us, we have a live discussion with eminent speakers from across Europe. And these represent a range of different sectors. Towards the end of the discussion, we will have a question and answer session where you will have the opportunity to have your questions asked to our panelists. So before kicking off the live discussion today, this morning's event will begin with 2 keynote appearances from the European Commission's DG Employment. So I'll begin by handing the floor to Alison Crabb, who is Head of Unit, Skills and Qualifications. So Alison, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andrea, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. So I have the pleasure of saying a few words of introduction about the Pact, what brings us together here this morning. The Pact for Skills, it's the first flagship action in our EU policy cooperation framework on skills. The Pact is basically an attempt to mobilise further investment, public and private investment, in building skills for people of working age across the Union. So regardless of their starting skills level, regardless of their field of activity, regardless of their member state, it's really reaching out across the Union to tackle the skills challenge, keeping on building skills throughout life among adults of working age. So skills for jobs is really the motto of the latest skills agenda, and the Pact is its very first flagship action. What we want to do is bring together partners. As ever in this field of skills, it's all about building partnerships. So we're looking for new commitments and partnerships from national authorities, regional authorities, education and training providers, public employment services, individual companies, social partners, economic sectoral associations, civil society, third sector representatives. And I think you can already hear from this short introduction the parallels with your experience in the Alliance for Apprenticeships. So that's what we'll be spending the next couple of hours in delving into in more detail. How can we take inspiration from the experience of the European Alliance for Apprenticeships as we start to build the Pact for Skills? The Pact was launched last November, in fact, during the Vet Skills Week that many of you will have been involved in. And there are already something like 300 organisations that have signed up to the Pact Charter. The Charter is a set of principles around skilling and lifelong learning. Coming from the Charter, the stage that we now want to explore a bit further and to delve into with you is how to generate concrete commitments to upskilling and reskilling, building on those principles. If I give you a couple of examples, we have commitments already made by the automotive sector, and we'll hear from Jakob, an expert in this field later on this morning. In the automotive sector, a partnership has come together to already make a commitment of upskilling around 5% of the workforce per year. Similarly, in the microelectronics field, in the aerospace and defence field, there are large-scale partnerships there coming together to tackle the skills challenge. At the other end of the spectrum, there can also be individual company commitments, association commitments, regional commitments. All of those we would like to see coming together under the wings of the Pact. You might also be asking yourself what is in it in terms of support at European level. So also similarly to the Alliance, we will be in the course of this year building up at EU level a so-called Pact support service, and that will help members of the Pact with networking opportunities to build new partnerships, with guidance towards funding opportunities, for example, and also with peer learning, mutual learning, for the moment, sadly, online only. We all have the aspiration of meeting in person again as soon as possible, that throughout the year we'll see coming on stream support services of that type. So I'm going to hand over now virtually to the Director for Skills, Manuela Geleng, who has recorded a short video message for us. So, Manuela.
In Europe, 70% of companies report that lack of skills hinders their investment. 1 in 4 SMEs reports major difficulties in finding skilled staff, yet only a bit more than a third of our working age adults engages in training every year. This is clearly not enough, and clearly it will not be enough if we have to manage the green and digital transitions, and if we want to support Europe's economic recovery. This is why, at European level, we have set a bold target, namely that half of our working age adults should undertake training every year. We need a skills offensive, and that's why we are launching the Pact for Skills. We need you all to mobilize, whether you are companies, large-scale public-private partnerships, public authorities, social partners, or training providers. Whether you operate at the European, at the national, regional, or local level, whether you belong to an industrial ecosystem, or whether you operate cross-sectorally. We really need your concrete upskilling and reskilling initiative. You are not alone. We are there to help. At European level, we will set up a networking, knowledge, and guidance hub. Under the networking hub, we will make sure that Pact members can engage with other partners, facilitate exchange, and share knowledge. Under the Knowledge Hub, we will organize seminars, webinars, peer learning experience, and we will make sure that the information about initiatives at European level or best practices is shared with you. Finally, in the Guidance Hub, we will help you with clear information on funding sources at EU level and how to access those. Indeed, the next 7 years, the EU budget and the recovery instrument put substantial funding on the table. decisions on how to use that funding are happening right now. So I really would urge you to make sure that your country's national plans make the most out of these funding opportunities and invest in skills. So I really urge you to make a concrete upskilling and reskilling commitment and to open up that initiative, not just to the workers in your company, but to open it up to your region or to your value chain, to exchange with your peers and to make the most of EU funding. Please have a look at our webpage on the Pact for Skills. And I really look forward to work with all of you to making upskilling and reskilling a reality in Europe.
Thank you very much to both Alison and to Manuela for their engaging interventions, which set the scene very nicely for our live discussion today. To all our participants watching, please also feel free to leave comments or to ask questions in the chat box during the event so that we can raise these in our question and answer session later towards the end of this live discussion. So I'm now going to introduce our eminent panelists, and I would ask them to please turn on their cameras so we can all see them. They've given us the honour of joining us today. So first of all, we have Jakob Stolfer, who is Programme Manager and Academic Staff Member at VSB, which is the Technical University of Ostrava in the Czech Republic. He is responsible for projects and activities concerning the skills agenda in the automotive ecosystem. We then have Olga Spurtiga. Olga is the Head of People Sustainability, Planning and Portfolio Management at Enel, which is the Italian multinational manufacturer and distributor of electricity and gas. She has a background in business development and a passion for history and arts. We have Yorgos Yorgakis, founder and managing director of EuroSuccess, which is an accredited vocational education and training centre in Cyprus, where he coordinates training and vet activities. He's also the national representative for Cyprus at the European Forum of Vocational Education and Training. We have Margarida Segard, Vice President at the European Association of Institutes for Vocational Training and Director at the Portuguese engineering company ISQ. As VP at EVBB, the European Association, she is responsible for European affairs as an expert and advisor in several DGs. At ISQ, she is the director of the ISQ Academy, responsible for tailor-made training solutions for companies and corporate academies. So she wears two hats. And finally, we have Zdeněk Karasek, who is the Moravia Silesia Governor's Deputy for Restart and coal regions in transition programs. He has a professional background in strategic consultancy, focused on the development of regions and cities and on people development. So welcome, everybody. Okay, so to begin with, and maybe to set the frame of the discussion today, I'm quite curious about how your backgrounds relate to the Pact for Skills. So I would like to begin by asking all of you the following question. And the question is, considering your experience working with reskilling and upskilling of adults in the private and the public sector and academia, could you share your views on the Pact? Just a reminder to keep it quite brief. We have a lot to get through, so sort of 3 to 4 minutes for each intervention. So Jakob, I'll come to you first if you'd like to kick off the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to you all. And first of all, please allow me to thank you for having me here as a part of this panel today. I'm very excited to be able to share my thoughts and our work related to automotive ecosystem. And I look forward to hearing from other speakers and discuss such important topic. And now answer to your question. My background relates to education and training in the automotive ecosystem. And I'm coming originally from academia, but I'm strongly focused on the skills agenda on all levels. And as all of you know, nowadays the European automotive industry is going through unprecedented transformation, as already mentioned. And the pace of technological change within the automotive industry is increasing at high speed, which in turn impacts the rate of skills change. And many jobs and processes needs to be redefined. New skills arises, and some existing skills will diminish in importance. And as nature of a job or work is really changing, we are moving towards, or I would say, we are already in the new model of skills development. The one that needs to take entire life course of an individual into the account. And now more than ever, it's evident that adult upskilling and reskilling will be an essential focus in order to adhere to rapid development that forces individuals to change their job or change the job's description multiple times throughout their professional career. And adult upskilling and reskilling is the area where academia and universities shall play more and more important role and adjust themselves to wider offer towards companies and adult workers. But it's not just academia. It relates to skills level to be gained. There are other same important educational and training institutions at all levels that need to take more into the consideration adult upskilling and reskilling. Through its three base pillars, as it was already presented, networking, knowledge, and guidance, the Pact for Skills can ensure that stakeholders, and speaking about industry, very important social partners, already mentioned educational and training institutions, public authorities, regions, and others, are effectively connected and collaborate on massive upskilling and reskilling activities of adults. And the connection and collaboration is meant on among regional stakeholders or local stakeholders, as well as on all that European level. And I believe that pursuing the common educational and training goal throughout the Pact for Skills will noticeably speed up future innovation and secure long-term and sustainable significant growth for players, irrespective of size in the automotive ecosystem. And of course, nowadays, taking in impact of the COVID-19 into the consideration, the Pact for Skills usefulness in this regard seems even more relevant than it did before. The automotive ecosystem is dealing with mentioned short-term impact of COVID-19 and the long-term shift towards zero emission and the digital mobility, as well as goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. And naturally, many people directly and indirectly working in the automotive ecosystems are affected by possible loss of job. But on the other hand, the automotive ecosystem is struggling to attract and recruit qualified people for new and emerging jobs. So to summarize and don't be long, the Pact for Skills comes in the right time to support effective and sustainable collaboration focused on the upskilling, reskilling of adults in the individual ecosystems. So that's my first intervention, and thank you, and back to you, Andrea.
Thanks very much, Jakob, for giving us a good overview there of some of the issues that are really going to dominate this discussion, and for giving us also the view from academia and from the challenges for the automotive sector, but also more widely. So thank you. Okay, so I'll turn to Olga now. If I could ask you to give your impression of the Pact for Skills. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's a truly pleasure for me to represent TANL here today, and I wish to thank the organization for the invitation, of course. We are proud to have joined the Pact for Skills from the beginning, because we strongly believe that the digital transformation and energy transition are two main directions that can lead us to a better and sustainable future, and to recover from socioeconomic consequences of the pandemic crisis. So we have confirmed our commitment to the Pact for Skills, because we are fully convinced that the way to achieve all of this is to put people at the center of our attention, promoting their skills, improving access to training and education. we have the arduous task of combining growing momentum of the twin transition with the need to create new opportunities and jobs. So it's a hard task. Starting from last November, I'm in charge of people, sustainability, planning and portfolio management. This unit, I have the honor of leading, belongs to a brand new HR unit called People and Innovability. It shows you the strategic relevance that sustainability, open innovation, caring, inclusion, people centricity has for our group. So as you already know, Enel is the world's leading private operator in renewables, the largest private network operator with the largest customer base. And our group is present in more than 30 countries, in 4 continents, and for a total of 68,000 employees. It means that as a super measure in the renewable sector, we have the honor, but obviously also the responsibility of representing 68,000 families, each with its uniqueness and its potentials and its vulnerabilities. But in addition of giving you a picture of the status quo, I want to talk about a more complex task we had in front of us. We must imagine and plan all together the future of work in our sectors in a rapidly changing era. Recently, Enel has presented the group's vision 2030, which puts the acceleration of the energy transition and plan to mobilize investment up to 190 billion euros. So this ambitious vision presents challenges on all fronts, but its effect on people is our focus. We have to lead people in this decade of really deep transformation with the goal of capturing opportunities and giving our contribution to restore the economy while protecting people, jobs, paying attention to skills, inclusion, and also caring. We have 3 more challenges that will require special attention: women empowerment, opening labor market to people with disabilities, and work-life balance. And this strategic activity, with the aim to better predict the future of our work, we must consider also the demographic trends and its impact on the labor market. This is why we really welcome the recently published European Commission report on impact of demographic change, because it tells us that we have to work in a framework of longer life expectancy, fewer births, and aging population, especially the working population. At the end, the reality is that we all have not defined answers, but Enel is willing to work with Pact for Skills to come up with the right questions and some possible solutions all together. This is how I believe we can build a new future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga. It's a good roundup of the future challenges and very forward-looking, so thank you. Okay, I'll turn to Yorgos next, and I understand that you're very positive about the Pact and the prospects that it holds for SMEs and training providers. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more.
Thank you, dear Andrea. Good morning to you, to the rest of the speakers and all the participants from sunny and rainy Cyprus. First of all, I would like to just mention some words as to the way we approach the new initiative of EU based on my personal but also the experience of Eurosuccess Consulting, the organization which I lead, in which we have experience both at national level through the provision of vet services through our accredited training center, as well as the educational EU and national programs, but also through the different memberships we are involved in at national and EU level through the different vocational forums. Therefore, just to provide a more concrete preliminary input on the Pact of Skills, indeed, this new initiative of EU can be seen only as positive, with promising aspects and benefits on behalf of SMEs and the training providers, because it envisions to involve in practice all the needed stakeholders, both public and private, something which will ensure its applicability as well as its sustainability. The Pact of Skills also carries out concrete aims and objectives. Therefore, the purpose of it should be clear and understood by all, something which we all know very well that is very, very important from the beginning. Furthermore, I can argue that the Pact services are clearly divided and categorized into 3 pillars, that is the networking, knowledge, and guidance, which can be also seen as vital and positive for its effective implementation. And lastly, I would like to argue that the categorization of the end users of the Pact, the adults, is a very important aspect to be clear from the beginning, from the initial stages of its birth and implementation, so as to be more effectively shaped and focused on their needs and characteristics, and not to be in general. For example, for the professionals, for the low-skilled, persons with disabilities, and others, as well as to divide the end users by sector and its specificity. As Jakub was mentioning before, for example, we all observe nowadays, during unprecedented situations such as the COVID-19, how the tourism sector was affected worldwide, how the tourism stakeholders need to upskill, to reskill, and even be educated and trained in different areas of skills and competencies in order to cope with this situation and its consequences. All these parameters which I mentioned would allow the Pact to be better understood by all and to be easily updated and adjusted continuously and based on each and every current or foreseen situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yorgos, for that good overview of what the Pact covers and what it means, especially to SMEs, training providers, and its sectoral dimensions. Okay, so turning to Margarida now, you hold dual roles. You are the EVBB Vice President and a Director at ISQ. So from these 2 perspectives, what is your view on the Pact? You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you all. Thank you, our friends, and thank you also our participants. So two perspectives in 4 minutes. It's 2 minutes for all. I'll do my best, but I can tell you that the most important thing, and this is the common opinion from both organizations, so ISQ and EVBB, which is the European Association. This Pact for Skills is actually a call to action. So it's not only a charter, it's not only a recommendation, a call for projects. It seems for us, it's really a call to action where we are calling all to work together and speed up, because there's a lot of things to do concerning upskilling and reskilling to follow these European strategies, and not only the European strategies, to follow what we need in each country to make a stronger Europe and to have more competitive companies, and also to have more happiness concerning individual lives and workers and the environment in our companies. So we need really to create these new European weapons, which are skills. Skills are becoming the new European weapons, and we need to use it in our daily life to recover this battle, to recover this recovery plan, and to speed up concerning digital transformation and green transitions. So, and I think, and the basis of this pact in the charter okay, which is very well explained in these infographics that were done, and we are sharing among our members and among our partners so they can join as well. I think that the most important part, it's really the lifelong learning culture, which there's a lot of things to do. As were mentioned also by Manuela Galang, and we participate in several studies, and the indicators, so the rates are really bad rates concerning investment in people, especially during the pandemic. We need to have stronger partnerships, and we need to have skilled business intelligence in a very rapid way. And of course, we need to put our fingers and our investments, our time and money and resources, human resources and equipment in these social rights and sustainable development goals, where women, where equality are really important. And in particular, when we are talking about technological skills, green skills, technical skills, where women are not really participating as we'd like to have them. So I think that the support given by the Commission is quite useful to increase the capacity and full investment of all stakeholders, the networking hub, the knowledge hub, the guidance and the resources hub. EVVB, from our side, we are very well placed to support the Commission as well in several sub-activities in a very agile way, capitalizing knowledge and good practice that already exist in all members, in all member states, and we need to put it all together. And our partners, our members are also very well committed with excellence in VET, with quality criteria, with innovative, but we need to raise the bar. And this is the call to action of Pact for Skills. From our side, it's a way of raising the bar to encourage them to act strongly with commitment, encouraging their own partners, so in a chain, in a cluster, in an ecosystem, and creating the European big wave for skills. From ISQ, it's the other hat, so which is the biggest technological platform in Portugal with several engineering services, but also with several training centers and delivering training mainly to companies, big ones and small ones and very small ones, but also for public employers. We are creating a lot of some interesting KPI. So usually per year, train around 25,000 trainees, most of them in engineering, technical, and these STEAM skills. So we are putting a lot of efforts in the new, these so-called new priority sectors, which are our traditional sectors as well, like automobile, process industry, energy, oil and gas, renewable energy, aeronautics, space and defense, which is very important, health, maritime, agro-industry, and we are investing in people as employer. For us, it's mandatory, and as a VET provider. And this is, I think we are very hopeful concerning this call to action, this Pact for Skills. Please count on us at member state level and at European level.
Great, thank you very much, Margarida. And I like the analogy of its skills are European tools, or maybe even weapons to actually forge our future. So that's very good. Thank you for that. Okay, I'll turn now to Zdeněk. And I know that you have experience in the development of regions and cities, as well as in people development. So in these areas, what can the Pact for Skills achieve, and what is your view on this?
Okay, hello everybody. I was introduced as a politician, strategic consultant, and practitioner, and I would like to present my view on Pact for Skills from all these levels. I would like to use my experience. In Czech Republic, I am called by some people as a father of employment pacts in the country. Why? In the early 2000 years, I managed several projects based on development partnerships of various stakeholders in our region of Moravia Silesia. And it really worked because the labor market is complex. The problems are complex that cannot be solved by just one or two institutions, especially not by conservative public employment services. So I found that innovation is possible to be delivered by development partnerships, but it's not enough. In 2006, I was invited to a global meeting organized by OECD and the European Commission, and it was focused on employment pacts and partnerships around the world. It was organized in Austria, and there were really people from the whole world. They were practitioners, representatives of pacts and partnerships, and I was astonished that it's even better than development partnership on project level. And I really believed in this, and I started some actions to introduce this system, especially the Austrian system with country covered by these pacts, to introduce it in the Czech Republic. It took a lot of years, but since 2016, I think there are pacts, employment pacts in the whole country. But their quality and impact, real impact, is very different. And some of them are just marketing. Employment pact, very, very useful, very important. We would like to cooperate. Super, nice words. But in order to make it a real game changer, it is necessary to have a real impact. And it was one of the reasons why I entered politics, from strategy consultant, just saying to politicians what should be done. I entered politics, and since then, since 2016, we allocated each year quite substantial sum of money for capacity building and work of this pact on our regional level. And it really works. Now it really works. It is the best one in the Czech Republic, and it is a leader of several initiatives in the country. And what is the lesson? There are many very smart analyses and strategies on the European and national levels, and there are thousands and hundreds of best practices in the field. And there is a need for a link between strategies and field players to share it better, to present it better, to promote it, and so on and so on. And there are two ways for Pact for Skills initiated by European Commission. Either it will be just a marketing and nice words, or it will be a real game changer. And I would like if it is really a game changer, because if it has this reputation, then it is attractive for real professionals, and it can raise the commitment of people to really participate and use it. So it is my wish, and I believe that together we can do it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Zdeněk. That's a challenge really to lay down for the European Commission, that we want it to be a game changer and not just nice words. Let's hope that we can follow through on all of that. So thank you to all of you for your comments so far. I think that's given us a really good overview of the issues from different perspectives. We're going to turn a bit more now to concrete initiatives that are being carried out or have been carried out, involving upskilling and reskilling. So I'm going to address a question to three of you. That's Jakub, Olga, and Zdeněk. You've all been involved in concrete projects on the ground. So I'll start with you, Jakub. You've been working for a sustainable and pragmatic approach to the skills agenda in the automotive sector. You've established the Automotive Skills Alliance. Could you please tell us a bit more about your involvement in this and how it relates to the Pact for Skills?
Thank you for the question, Andrea. And yes, we already launched that. And maybe to follow on Zdeněk, our main aim, and we cooperate, of course, also with Zdeněk as one of the regions supporting us, is that we really like to be a game changer. So that's our commitment. And so as said, we launched this Pact for Skills to serve the European automotive ecosystem. And as you mentioned, it's called Automotive Skills Alliance, ASA for short. And as mentioned here several times, mission is to connect different kind of stakeholders involved in the automotive ecosystem to ensure this continuous, pragmatic, and sustainable cooperation on skills agenda. And it further aims to ensure collaboration on European level, but as well as on national and regional levels, and between all the participating and the affected stakeholders. And as said previously, and in my previous intervention, it aims to bring together industry, social partners, training and educational institutions, public authorities, and others. And as also Zdeněk mentioned, that's very, very nice when how we connect it on that whole European level, and also when there is already a local hub, we call it now local hubs, on that local small Pact for Skills on that regional or local level. So that's very good and nice cooperation. And as you mentioned, and at the beginning of this session, ASA further aims to support massive acceleration of investment in the human capital through pilot regional projects, focus on this upskilling, reskilling activities, and our overall ambition is to upskill, reskill 5% of the workforce each year. So it means for the automotive ecosystem, around 700,000 employees to being upskilled, reskilled each year. So, and of course, by that, contribute to post-COVID recovery. And of course, concrete activities, as I have quite a limited time, I cannot go to the details. But of course, as I would mention very briefly, of course, continuous skills intelligence update to know where we are going, what are the trends, what are the skills needed, and what are the decreasing skills. And then our aim is also, one of our objectives is EU-wide, having EU-wide definitions and recognition of skills and job roles in the automotive ecosystem. And together with database of training and education courses offered towards the ecosystem, so that it goes there. And with that, coming with holistic approach to that overall paradigm or the culture, as it was said also here, for individual upskilling, reskilling, because as said, people are in the center, and we cannot count the people like numbers. We have to think that those are people that we have to think about them, about their specific needs, and yeah, and all that culture around that. So that's exactly, as I am coming back to that again, it's very important to cooperate not just industry and training providers, but also social partners supporting that, public authorities and others. As already mentioned, Pact for Skills is having a big support from the stakeholders. We are also receiving as ASA, so the specific Pact for Skills, implementation of the Pact for Skills in the automotive ecosystem, strong support and commitment to our overall goal. And our next steps will be, of course, as discussed, ensure the specific commitments and specific also then KPIs on all the levels that we will work with. But the overall idea is to have the trust and collaboration together, and really make this game changer, so that we stimulate and support all these massive upskilling and reskilling activities in the automotive ecosystem. So that was the Automotive Skills Alliance, bringing introduction to our Automotive Skills Alliance. And if you allow me, and you not cut me, I would mention that some of you might have already also heard about a project called Drives, launched in 2018 and coming to the end in December 21. So this at the end of this year. This is the Blueprint project. And the goal is to set up a strategy and roadmap for the automotive sector. And of course, the project is further on working on the different different objectives there, as they take on mutual recognition, enable training offer focused, address the skills gaps specifically for the automotive sector. And this project, as a blueprint project, created a basis that can be further built on by other initiatives, and such as Automotive Skills Alliance, as we are using these inputs, these strategic inputs to our work in Automotive Skills Alliance. And as we are in apprenticeship conference, please just allow me mention one inputs that were found and generated by Drive's project, and there is several notable key messages and conclusions, and one of them is that the primary apprenticeship is important approach toward adult upskilling and reskilling. And in order to be more effective in this rapidly changing environment, it needs to be flexible to much greater extent by, for instance, modular approach and more flexible adjustments. Of course, you can find more in Drive's reports focused on apprenticeship, and these and many other topics will be approached by further approach and developed also within the work of Automotive Skills Alliance. So thank you for this opportunity to share our work in the Automotive Skills Alliance. I'm not sure if I can share something to the chat, but I will try so, and I will share some more information. The website link of the Automotive Skills Alliance as a Pact for Skills in the automotive ecosystem, as well as the email contact, which should any of the participants of today's call or today's panel and wish to be part of ASA or have any additional questions, ask me or my colleagues. So there will be that contact. Thank you. I hope I was not too long. I tried to be short.
Okay, thank you very much, Jakub. That's very interesting details about your projects there, and quite ambitious in terms of the number of people that you're aiming to upskill and reskill. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I hope you managed to post the details in the chat. Okay, I'll turn to Olga now. Your group is running a reskilling program in global power generation, and that involves employees from different countries to ensure their long-term employability. Please tell us more about it.
Sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me? Yeah, great. Yeah, just to give you some context, as already said, in the last 5 years, Enel has completely refocused its activities on renewable energy, distribution network, new businesses, pushing for strong digitalization and innovation and sustainability. The aim of the energy transition to a sustainable world is to move to a full renewable generation. That is one of the keystones of the battle against the climate change too. But in short term, it will have some intermediate steps, and we will see both an acceleration of renewable capacity, and then on the other side, an accelerated exit from coal generation, leveraging on gas in order to ensure the great stability, resilience, flexibility of the energy system during this transition. But what does it mean concretely, and how could this strategy impact on our people? It means that in the next decade, Enel will shut down many coal power plants in different countries and continents and build more sustainable ones. It means also that in the next decade, thousands of colleagues will have to change their way of working, along with cultural and mindset change also, in order to embrace the new challenges. So with this in mind, we are tackling this challenge, a huge challenge, by starting upskilling and reskilling programs for specific groups of our employees, as well as a series of initiatives on cultural and mindset change. as you already said, today I want to present you a concrete example of what I said until now. So the reskilling program that is managed by our global power generation business line. It is an international and multi-year transition plan that we started in 2019, so before the crisis, and it's supposed to end in 2024 for reskilling of what we identified as the most affected employees. So in this case, the operation and maintenance workforce in thermal power plants. This reskilling program is supposed to involve 2,500 people in Europe, but also outside Europe. Out of which the half have been trained at the end of 2020. So the final aim is to enable their long-term employability during the transition and to build the clean energy workforce of coming year. That is completely different. Movements that we planned are either from coal to gas, but also from coal directly to renewables. And it depends on the generation fleet and different geographies. The first step of this complex program has been an analysis for sure of skill needed to sustain the transition in the next 5 years. And then we proceeded with an assessment of the skill gaps. And we finally identified the expected new roles, so for the job migration. On this basis, we started a real reskilling program dedicated to every single employee in order to be able to move people to new professional challenge in line with our strategy from one side, but also to ensure the minimal impact of the employees' well-being and their productivity. What I can add is that the average duration of the reskilling program is about 18 and 24 months. And it's a structure as a mix of formal and training within class, in-person classes. Now, obviously, converted in digital classes during the pandemic. So we can consider, considering the number of the people involved in this program and the geographical distribution, we can consider that this is a reskilling program at a scale. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Olga. We're running a little bit behind time, but hopefully we'll be able to make some time up a little further down the line. So I'll turn to Zdeněk now. So we'll turn from the private sector to the public sector. So as you said previously, you have experience from the Moravia and Silesia region, and that's historically a coal and steel region. And since the 1990s, of course, has been in the process of transforming its economy and society. Can you tell us a bit more about this regional experience and the importance of upskilling and reskilling in your sector?
Okay, thank you. It was mentioned that we have 200 years of history of coal and steel production, but I must say that this year, or at the latest the next year, our coal mining will be completely closed. So we are in a real hot phase of transformation, and the previous 30 years were relatively successful, but we need to prepare for the final stage of transformation. Currently, I can say that we have more people employed in IT sector and automotive sector than in coal and steel. But automotive sector is in the center, let's say, of a big change towards clean mobility related to Green Deal and so on. and we don't want to be, let's say, dependent very much on another, let's say, old time sector. So we must be in the front of initiatives, how to prepare the industry and people for the electromobility, hydrogen mobility, and so on. What is very important that since 2018 we are participants of the European initiative Co-Regions in Transition, which is very, very important for us. And as I mentioned in my previous input, the priorities must be found in the budget. And because the Just Transition mechanism and Just Transition Fund was accepted and approved on the European level, so we will have some substantial parts of money to transform our region. In order to do this, we need to prepare the transformation strategic projects, which we are working hard on it for some months or maybe even years. And one of these projects is Trautom, transfer or transition of automotive sector. It was mentioned by Jakub. And we think that it can be a practical example of Pact for Skills, Co-Regions in Transition initiative, these strategic initiatives implemented in the field. So we prepared the project Trautom, in which we expect to upskill and reskill about 7,500 people employed in the automotive sector for the clean mobility. Besides automotive sector, we are also focused on exchange or game change, let's say, in the apprenticeships schools and other schools, high schools in the region. And I can mention another example of useful transfer of know-how, because in 2016 I was invited by a Eurofound to Basque region, and the Basques, they are really excellent in preparation for Industry 4.0. They set up the organization Tcnica, in which they on one place develop the new let's say new programs for modern education of pupils. And this example is the best one in the world, I think. And since then, we started our own project called Technological and Entrepreneurial Academy. And besides Trautom, it is the second, let's say, strategic projects to change the labor market. So currently, within this transition from coal to other sectors, we have two main projects for labor market. One of them is Trautom for adults in automotive sector, and the other one is Technological and Entrepreneurial Academy for pupils and teachers in the initial education. So this is our approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zdeněk. I can see the importance of trying to invest in future-looking industries. Obviously, that's very important, and also the importance of information exchange and good practice, so learning from other regions and what they're doing. So thank you very much to the three of you for that discussion. I've got one more question, and I'd like to ask this to Yorgos and Margarida, and it concerns the areas the Pact touches, involving the promotion of lifelong learning, building partnerships for skills, and the work against discrimination. So in your sector and looking forward, where do you see the challenges, and how can the Pact support in addressing these challenges? So Yorgos, I'd like to turn to you first.
Thank you for the question, dear Andrea. First of all, if we would like to approach it as a holistic view, the challenges of the Pact, and connect it also somehow with the EAfA's purpose and mission, that is the development of and support of apprenticeships at EU level, one could say that the main challenge is the lack of information and knowledge on behalf of SMEs regarding the benefits of apprenticeships itself. Another relevant challenge to this is that SMEs often lack knowledge and experience in implementing effectively the apprenticeships, that is the proper induction of the apprentice in the organizational structure and workplace, the provision of continuous training and learning path to the apprentice, motivational aspects, etc. Therefore, I would say that we should find the way for all these challenges to be included and addressed effectively within the Pact. Now, in addition, one more challenge, in my opinion, is that the Pact should not be overlapped with the existing recommendation of EU on upskilling pathways, but rather the new initiative should be complementary so as to ensure its applicability and coexistence. And the last challenge I would set as priority is that I would suggest the establishment of both centralized at EU level and decentralized at national level centers of influence, which would support the Pact. The national contact points should be in position to provide real-time information and provide insights on the Pact, so as for the EU level to be able and shape it accordingly, following the current trends and needs of the market. This methodology would definitely ensure the applicability and sustainability of the Pact at both EU and national level. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll turn to Margarita now, if I could ask you just what your view is on the main challenges as you see them. You're muted again.
Sorry. My dear friends, there's a lot of challenge, and Georgios already mentioned some of them, in particular, this link with SMEs. I think we need to put a lot of efforts there. I think it's not possible to achieve industrial 4.0 transition nor green transition if you don't have a lifelong learning culture. And this is the first challenge that we have on the Pact for Skills, because believe me, that there's still a lot of do in this field. We participate during the pandemic period in European surveys to talk with big companies and also SMEs and very small and micro companies about their investments in people, in upskilling and reskilling, in training, and not only at European level, but also in Portugal. And more than 70% of employers stop the training activity. So when there's a difficult, the activity is the first one to fly and to be not considered as a priority in the investment scope, and just spending time, because there's a lot of free training courses, there's a lot of informal way of doing this, and actually the efforts were not done during the crisis, and we need to take advantage of this crisis and go further on what happened concerning training and the other opportunities, and go further. So the first conclusion is we need to convince those employments that skills matters, and actually those are the most important thing for growth and for innovation and to be more competitive. Second, we need to encourage more partnerships and capitalizing in existing knowledge and resources, not start from ground zero. And with this new fresh money that is coming in a lot of countries for recovering plan and resilience, we are seeing that there's a lot of new money that is coming to associations, public schools, public centers, which are not, and also private, but which are not the most updated concerning learning and sharing knowledge and equipment, and with the workers, with the citizens, with the companies. there's a lot of knowledge in companies. There's a lot of knowledge in a lot of vet centers, which are made a lot of investments the last couple of years and are very quite updated. And we should not waste this kind of knowledge and trying to create everything from ground zero. And the third challenge, I think. We need to count more also with our European associations what we have, and this is my second head concerning EVVB, and not only concerning EVVB. EVVB belongs to a larger platform of 6 associations for vets. Including higher education, and we are working together in creating a stronger link between what is happening at European level and the message and actually the actions that are being taken not only at political level in each member state, but also at the ground floor level with the vet providers, with the associations, with companies, and this is important that European Commission counts on our associations to achieve some of the sub-activities that are mentioned in the Pact for Skills. We don't need to create a big elephant. We need to use the resources that already exist and to make stronger our partnership. I would like to add just for the fourth challenge, which was already mentioned by Georgios, which we had this dream that we'd like to have a little bit the same Pact for Skills at the member state level. As Nedek mentioned, there's a lot of employment initiative, there's a lot of training initiative, but there's no cohesion and there's nothing as a whole program at the member states level. And I think we can create a mirror between the big European umbrella, and what we are doing at member states level in all sectors.
Okay, thank you very much, Margarita. There's a lot of food for thought there, I think, in terms of lifelong learning, the challenge of the current crisis and moving forwards and partnerships. So, and thank you to everybody for your contributions so far. I think it's been a very rich discussion. I'm going to round up this discussion by challenging all of you a little bit and to say that if you had to put into a tweet, so only around 140 characters, what you learned in today's session and what your key takeaways have been, what would that tweet be? I'm going to give you a few moments to think because now I'm going to ask our audience, our participants, to respond to this challenge as well. So please feel free to make your own tweet. You can use the hashtag ApprenEU, that's APPRENEU, and say what you have learned today. If you don't have Twitter, just feel free to use the chat to share your thoughts, and we hope to read some of them after our speakers have had their say. So I hope that's given you a bit of time to think. So Jakob, I'd like to ask you first if you're ready, just to be very, very brief, as if you are posting on Twitter, please.
Yeah, thank you. I was just composing my tweet now, but I would say not learn from today, but I would like to highlight from today. And I have to say that Margarita has always very good statements in the way that new European weapons or tools or skills are the new European weapon or tools. We are not starting from ground zero. So I was starting to reuse some of those statements into my tweet. And I would say people and skills are in heart and brain of Europe. Collaboration, learn from others, that's essential of Pact for Skills. That would be my tweet. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Olga, what about you?
Hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
All right. I don't have Twitter, but I will try to summarize them. I think that as we say today, we need to join forces, so call to action, to put people at the center, focusing on skills, lifelong employability, paying attention to inclusion, caring, in order to be able to capture opportunities in the decades of transformation. So people at the center.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And Zenek, what about you?
My message would be Pact for Skills wants to be a game changer in education systems to keep Europeans skilled enough for success in life and work in 21st century.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Yorgos, what about you?
My tweet is on the edge of the allowed characters, is 139 characters. So my tweet would be, investing in skills, policies and actions is a necessity which concerns and must be embraced by all. Together we can progress for the future.
Great. That sounds really good. Thank you. And Margarita, what about you?
I really mine. Pact for Skills is a call to action to upskilling and reskilling, with all on board, leaving no one behind. It's not a marketing activity, it's putting people on the center with companies, with everybody, and speeding up. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, everybody, for thinking on your feet like that. I know it's not easy sometimes. I can't actually see any tweets in the chat from any of our participants, but please, everybody, just think about it, and you can at any time post your thoughts or your comments in the chat. But meanwhile, I think we'll move now to question and answer session. So I'm going to see what our audience has asked, and I'm going to pose those questions to you. So we've got about maybe 10 minutes or so for this. So I do see that there's a question for Jakob, actually, and it's from the ETUC, so the European Trade Union Confederation, and it says, it's very specific to you. Who are the members of the Automotive Alliance, and how do they plan to meet the 5% training goal? How do they plan to ensure that all the trainings are of high quality and inclusive? So if you'd like to share your thoughts on that. We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. So once again, thank you for question. And yeah, it's all that what was mentioned is of course very challenging how to get to those ambitions. But as said, it's about our collaboration, and there was a question, what are our members? So please go to check the website, which we shared to participants, hopefully. And we can mention, for instance, that it is composed, of course, around ASEA, CLEPA, ETRMA, SECRA, and others. Then we are having Group Renault, Volkswagen, or also European Automotive Cluster, European Cluster Network. So all numerous stakeholders supporting that, and from the social partners, it's industrial, CMED, and others, and then of course from the educational training institutions or other types of organization, we can mention PricewaterhouseCoopers and others there, and the regions. I would say Zdeněk presented Moravian Silesian region. We are having Grandes, Stuttgart region, and other regions around Europe. So I was very brief in that partnership, so sorry if I haven't mentioned everyone. And how to reach these goals? Of course, our ambition is high, but this ambition is reflecting that how many people work in the automotive industry, and there is really this big transition. So even if the ambition seems high to reskill 5% of the automotive workforce, at the end of the day, it's a reality that we have to face. And this is here. People are in the center, as I mentioned, and by this collaboration and stimulating and enabling these regional upskilling and reskilling activities, that's the center of this activity, to share the best practices, to share how we work and how we do those upskilling, reskilling. And as said by Margarita, I have to say one thing which is very important. I would like to highlight that, and that's that no ground zero, because there is a lot of interesting and very good activities being done, and we are not reinventing a wheel. We would like to, and we are building on the activities that are already here. So definitely please join, and we can collaborate and discuss more the specific points. Okay, so that would be answer to that question.
Thank you very much, Jakob. Okay, I've got a question from the audience here, and I think I'll pose it to Yorgos, if that's okay. And it's about vulnerable people. They're being specifically affected by the changes in the labour market and, of course, the pandemic. Do you foresee specific measures to ensure participation in upskilling and reskilling of the most vulnerable people? So that could include the Roma population. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. If you think I've targeted you unfairly, then other people could answer it. But Yorgos, if you maybe you have some thoughts.
No, more than welcome, and thank you for the question, Andrea. Basically, in fact, it's one of the aspects that I was mentioning before, that the Pact for Skills should be including the different characteristics of the end users, including the vulnerable groups. So people, adults with lack of IT or education or any other vulnerabilities whom EU would like to involve in the new initiatives should be taken into account. Not all of us have the same learning capabilities or pace, and this should be clearly understood and adjustable within the content of the Pact. So as for the different stakeholders who are being welcome to embrace the Pact, i.e. the training providers, the SMEs, the public providers, etc., to be able to utilize and offer this Pact to all adults, including the vulnerable groups. So the Pact should be designed in such a way that would be able to embrace all adults, regardless of their characteristics and difficulties, as well as to be able to be adjusted and updated according to the target group, to the sector, and to the context in which will be taking place.
Okay, thank you very much, Yorgos, for that answer. And I hope that answers the question. I think it was very comprehensive. Okay, another question, and maybe I'll direct this to Margarita. So the question is, does the Pact for Skills specifically include investment for social economy organisations? Because they're good examples of organisations that work towards areas such as green transition, but also put the rights of people first, and they always reinvest in training. So do you have any thoughts about how we can ensure that the Pact works for these sorts of organisations? We can't hear you.
I'm sorry, Andrea, I've missed the first part.
Sure.
So the importance of Pact of Skills for which kind of organizations? I'm sorry.
Yes, social economy organizations. So they're organizations that are, yeah.
This is a very, very good question. Not only social economy, but also the public authorities as employers. Among these studies that we developed at European level and also at social level, we talked with also this both group of employers, and believe me that they are worse than companies concerning investing in people skills. And we need to have higher level, to raise the bar, to have higher level of skills concerning our public servants. We need them. We need them to look what is happening, to come to us, to our vet trainer, to our vet providers, to come to us, to our companies, to learn with us so we can think together on new public programs, how to speed up things. And it's really, really important. Concerning social economy, the employers are not really investing in upskilling, in reskilling, and we need to do really a very straight partnership with these social sectors. In another hand, looking at the end users, I think there's a huge opportunity. Of course, in one hand, we have this problem, like Zdeněk mentioned, and Jakub as well, concerning some sectors that we will lose significant job. We need, and I'm very positive about these green transitions and 4.0 transition at the global level and even at regional level. I think there's a huge opportunity on this green transition, on democratizing skills, on creating skills for very low level people, and create new jobs on the green sector, not only in companies, but also in public authorities, in municipalities, and so on. And I think we can create not only hands-on jobs, but also brain jobs. There's a lot of very good experience, not only in 4.0 and digital new skills, but also in green transition. And we are upskilling people that they lost their jobs, they don't have any qualifications. We are skilling people in hydrogen, we are skilling people in batteries, we are skilling people in the efficient energy as auditors. So we are bringing life to people and to our companies as well. So counting on everybody, and I think we have a huge way to run. There's a lot of things to do, and only on together, like Olga also mentioned, it's really important that you continue all together.
Great, thank you very much, Margarita. That's a very comprehensive answer. I have a question for Olga here, and this is somebody wanting to know what the main benefits are of signing up to the Skills Pact for large employers, bearing in mind, of course, that large employers might already have their own agendas on upskilling and reskilling. So maybe just briefly, you could talk us through what you think some of the benefits are.
As I try to explain with our program, the benefits are really a lot, because the energy transition has a huge impact on our sector of our employees. We saw that already before the crisis. So we already saw, and the crisis is just accelerated. It's accelerating the energy transition. So we have to run to prepare our people to be able to not to lose jobs. So with the idea, with the aim not to leave anybody behind, we have to support and to give new opportunities. It is not an easy task for sure, because we need to predict what we will need in future. This energy sector is changing very, very quickly. As Margarita already said, we have a lot of new technologies, hydrogen, batteries, and so on. So we have to adapt very quickly to our business needs in order to give the opportunity to people to work with us and to lead this transformation.
Okay, thank you very much, Olga. Got a question for Alison, and she has indicated that she would be able to answer this question now. So I'll put this question to her, and it's a question that says, in a very concrete way, as a traditional professional education provider in France, how would this person get involved at EU level in the Pact? So Alison, if you'd like to maybe answer that. Thank you.
Sure, yeah, thank you. And it's a very pragmatic question, good question to ask at this point. And I hope that we'll be able to paste in the chat a web link that I'm going to refer to. So you will find on the main web page for the Pact a link to a so-called kind of application form or declaration of intent to join the Pact, and that applies whether you are a small education provider, an industrial federation, a region. It's the same process, and there you will also find for inspiration a list of possible commitments that you could think about pursuing and making through the Pact. Now, if you're a small provider of vocational education and training, I guess you want to be thinking about things like reaching out to local companies, reinforcing the links that I'm sure you already have with local companies, reaching out to chambers, to your local authorities, to really plug into the economic infrastructure in your locality, and to see there what would be a pragmatic and the most impactful, because I think that's the word I would pick up from this morning's discussion, the most impactful way of cooperating in the Pact for Skills. So we will endeavour to put that link in the chat so that you can see it. But as I say, whether you're a small or a big operator, that's a very good quick starting point. Take a look at that, food for thought, and think about who in your own local landscape you would reach out to start building up a new commitment.
Great, thank you very much, Alison. Okay, we haven't had time to answer all the questions, so we will, however, ask some of the speakers to answer your questions on the LinkedIn group that we've created. So I think my colleagues are going to post the link to this group in the chat, so please feel free to join this group after this discussion. As I say, the link should be in the chat. So I'd like to say thank you to the panelists and to the audience for this very interesting question and answer session. And just before I hand back to Alison again for the final conclusions, we'd just like to get very quickly your opinion on how you found this live discussion through our GoToWebinar poll. So we've just got some questions here, so I'll read them out. We can do this live. So the first question here is, overall, how satisfied are you with the live discussion? So you can select one now, and I give it a few seconds so we can see people voting. Okay. So maybe we'll move to the next question now, which is, will this live discussion be useful for your work? You've got some options there. Okay. And then the third question is, did the live discussion cover the topics you expected? So again, we've got 4 options there. Okay. And then the fourth question is, how did you find the length of the live discussion? So you've got 3 options there: too long, about right, too short. And then the final question is, which part of the live discussion did you like the most? So we've got, you select one of these: content of the live discussion, visual presentation, live discussion delivery, participant interaction tools, or don't know. Okay. All right, thank you very much for participating in that poll. I'm going to hand back to Alison now for her closing comments. Thank you, Alison.
Thanks, Andrea. And first of all, big thank you to all the speakers. This for me has been such a useful, really a learning event, and to have the opportunity to hear a bit more in the short time available this morning about what's going on in your fields of work. And I think I would mention maybe just two points that struck me from this morning's discussion. One is around the issue of impact and what needs to happen for this to be a game changer, as several of you said, rather than empty words. That's a challenge, of course, for the European Commission as we design the Pact. It's really above all a challenge, though, for the members of the Pact to design actions which indeed have the potential to be impactful. And I think that's been the great thing in this morning's discussion, to hear about the many things that are actually working well at the moment. I wanted to say a quick word about what we would refer to as skills intelligence, because I think that is also something we haven't gone into a lot of detail on it this morning, but in fact it's been a red thread almost underpinning most of the presentations that we've heard, the importance of really taking a very pragmatic starting point, understanding what are the skills needs and the skills gaps in the field that you're working in. So whether you're working in a region in transition, let's call it that, we heard a bit about that, the former coal regions, whether you're working from an industrial sector entry point, automotive, we heard a bit about that, the absolute critical importance of making sure that this understanding and monitoring and analysis of the skills needs now and in future is underpinning the work that you're doing, because from that, of course, comes the capacity to tailor those actions to a way really that is meaningful for the participants, whether it's the individual learners and workers or the employers, or indeed the wider regional infrastructure. So I think this idea of skills intelligence struck me as underpinning a lot of this morning's presentations, very important success factor in the Pact. And the second remark I wanted to make, and it's linked to the question of impact, of course, is budget. So we're talking about private expenditure and we're talking about public expenditure. And as we know, a great deal of the investment in adult upskilling and reskilling comes from employers and from their private investment. But let's also be very aware of, and I think Manuela mentioned it in her introductory video, the window of opportunity that we have right now around the programming of the so-called Recovery and Resilience Facility. A lot of money, 670 billion euros available to member states to programme for a sustainable recovery. One of the 7 priority strands for that investment is skills, upskilling and reskilling. Member states are invited by April to put forward their national plans for programming those funds for discussion with colleagues across the different departments of the Commission. So it's really a golden opportunity when we're talking and thinking about kind of joining the dots nationally and trying to build a more concerted approach nationally to upskilling and reskilling. It needs strategic thinking and it is helped by investment, let's be frank. So at the moment we have this opportunity, unprecedented amounts of public funding at EU level ready to be steered in the context always of national needs into skills investment. So having said all of that, I'm going to again steal Margarita's very appropriate nutshell conclusion, which is that the Pact and an event like this one really is a call to action. That's what it is. We are looking to mobilise, to incentivise, to provide a bit of technical assistance support at EU level through the support service, to provide some public financing support through the funds that I'm talking about here, but really a call to action to those of you committed as we are to the challenges of upskilling and reskilling. And this type of short session, which brings very practical experience together and really demonstrates what can be done in working partnerships, I think is great. So thanks again to all the speakers for your sharing your expertise, and thanks to the participants for joining. And to you, Andrea, for steering us safely through the digital world in record time. It's only something like 2 minutes after 12, so that's a super achievement. So thanks to all, and looking forward to meeting again online soon.
Great, thank you very much, Alison, for that really good roundup. Just a couple of final points. If the speakers, you could all keep your cameras on because we're going to take a group photo. I'm not quite sure when I'll know when that's happened, but hopefully it'll be happening while I'm talking. Okay, thank you. And as I said, we have a EAfA LinkedIn group, and the details are now posted in the chat. So I think some of our speakers are going to join that after this event. So please feel free to join that if you'd like to. Yeah, on a final point, I'd like to take the opportunity to announce our recently published online training modules that are available on the knowledge sharing page of the EAfA website. So we offer online trainings on how to join the European Alliance for Apprenticeships and other modules focusing on apprenticeships in the EU. So please, please check that out too. We have the link in the chat. And also, yeah, as Alison has said, and myself too, so thank you so much to the 5 panelists today, and to Alison for giving a Commission's view, and to the audience yourselves for your participation. I'd like to remind you we've got 2 events coming up. So the next one on the 26th of January, which is the role of regions and cities, green and digital transitions. And then on the 11th of February, another live discussion on the topic of what does quality mean in practice, integrating the apprentices perspective. So don't forget to put these dates into your calendar. So, and we look forward to welcoming you then. So thank you very, very much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it, and have a good day. Thank you.